Hello, welcome back to Yoga with Jess. This is day 1 of my 30-day yoga challenge. In this video, we are going to break down and focus on some really essential, basic, foundational postures that we're going to build on in subsequent videos. And if you want to see this full 30-day challenge, it's available on Psyche Truth Plus, where we're going to progress through some intermediate and advanced postures and just address overall wellness and stress reduction. We're going to start off in child's pose, which is a really great restorative posture, but could also be made active, and I'll show you those different variations in just a moment. Now know that this pose can be turned to at any time during your practice. If you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed, or your heart rate is beating a little too fast and you want to bring things down, come into child's pose at any time. You can always pause this video, take a few breaths there, and restart whenever you're ready. So there's 2 variations of child's pose. We're going to be on our knees. The first variation is keeping the knees together, sending the hands away from you, and then slowly start pressing the hips back towards the heels. Rounding the spine, and start to drop the forehead down towards the mat. So over time, your heels will drop. To begin, you might be up here, and that's totally fine. And then over time, inch by inch, you slowly make your way down. Now this variation with the knees together really helps to stretch the low back. So if you're feeling any tightness there, I would suggest taking this version of child's pose. To keep it active, you can walk the fingertips away from you, coming up to the tops of the fingers by tenting them and feeling the arm muscles and shoulders active as they lift off the mat. Begin to engage your core muscles and think about this opposite stretching sensation of walking the fingertips away from you, but at the same time sending your hips back towards your heels, like you're being pulled in equal and opposite directions. Now, to make this posture a little bit more restorative and relaxed, you can bring the hands down by the sides, allowing the shoulders to relax, facing the palms up towards the sky, and just resting the weight on your forehead. It's very grounding to have the forehead touching the mat, knowing that you're supported by Mother Earth, and just breathing into the body as you sink a little bit deeper. Now the second variation, if you'd rather start opening up the hips, is one where you spread the knees wide on the mat. And then same thing, start to press the hips back towards the heels and walk the hands in front of you. So again, if your hips are tight, you might be up here, and just allow your head to drop, relax the neck. And then over time, maybe the forehead starts to touch the mat. And then in more time, maybe you walk the hands back as the hips start to touch the heels. So this is just another variation. Both are wonderful versions of child's pose, and just feel whatever, feels right in your body. It's going to be different for each person, and even just at different times of the day or in different points during your week. So again, in this pose with the knees spread wide, you can either keep the hands extended out long or bring them by your side. Later on, we'll get into a few more arm variations. So to begin today, come into either version, and let's just start a little centering by breathing in through the nose, nice and slow, deep breaths, and then exhaling out the mouth. As we focus on the breath, we start to tune the volume down in our minds, all that chitter chatter, all the planning, our to-do list, everything that the mind usually thinks about. See if you can turn that volume down and just focus the mind on the sensation of the air coming in through the nose, traveling down into the lungs, into the belly, and then as you exhale, coming back out that same path. Maybe it's warming, maybe it's cooling, Just really start to notice bodily sensations as you breathe, and don't think about anything else. Taking a few rounds here, and maybe some sensations in the rest of your body start to pop up as well. Maybe a little pinching in the hip crease, maybe you feel an extension in the spine, or maybe you feel a little opening up in the shoulders. Just noticing all those sensations will help you come to the present moment. One of our little tricks for focusing the mind. If you'd like, you can look left and right, give your forehead and third eye a little massage here. I'm just enjoying this posture for what it is, a really grounding, affirmative pose that can bring you back to your center and back in touch with your breath. So stay here as long as you need to, but when you're ready, bring the hands by your side, press into the palms, and slowly start to round up to a seated position. And when you arrive, rolling the shoulders back, sitting up nice and tall and refreshed. Now hopefully you're feeling a little more relaxed and calm and centered than you did when you began this video. Remember that feeling, try to carry it with you throughout our flow. And now we'll come to stand. So come to stand, bring your feet together, big toe mounds pressed into the mat. Keeping those heels slightly out and the toes slightly in will help to bring this internal rotation of the legs and the thighs. And then a slight external rotation here in the glutes. So make sure you're standing up nice and tall. Feel that sensation of grounding down through the feet. And notice where the weight distribution is. If you're standing a little too far into the toes, or maybe the weight's in the heels, see if you can keep it nice and even and centered, evenly distributing that weight. So as we ground down through the feet, we're sending energy into the floor and into the mat, but we're also thinking about lifting that energy up through the legs, really engaging the quadriceps, locking out those legs, and then lifting that energy up through the spine, all the way out through the crown of the head. So we're standing up really lifted, nice and tall. Roll the shoulders up and back. Shoulder blades are slightly pinched behind you, and the hands start to turn out, externally rotating the arms outward. This is our Tadasana mountain pose. Maybe close your eyes for a moment and feel that feeling of sending the energy in equal and opposite directions down through the floor and up through the crown of the head. Start to engage the core by sucking the low belly in and slightly rounding the tailbone under. So we're staying nice and lifted here and just relaxing the rib cage. So with everything active and engaged, you should already start to feel your body turning on, maybe a little perspiration even happening already. So moving on your inhale, take a big deep breath in through the nose, bring the arms out to the side and up to touch overhead. Now things to note about that. We want to feel a big expansion of the rib cage, so we're sucking in as much air as we can as we inhale through the nose, lifting the upper body and chest up towards the sky, and seeing if you can keep the shoulders relatively down and away from the ears. So one more time, maybe even taking a slight bend in the knees to really feel that lift and expansion happening, energy shooting out the fingertips, touching in prayer pose overhead. And then on your exhale, begin to start hinging forward to practice our forward fold and our swan dive down. So before I even go into this, I just want to talk about some of the mechanics. So with nice straight legs, like we did in Tadasana, stay there with your low body, but then we're going to begin to hinge at the hips, coming forward with a flat back. So we're really engaging the back muscles, especially in the lumbar spine and low back. As we start to drop down, see if you can keep that extension in the spine. Think about that energy shooting out the crown of the head as you lower all the way down. And then eventually, obviously, your back is going to start to round as you come to the floor. But it's just something to visualize and think about, because if you first think about it in your mind, your body will follow and respond. So imagining that length, that extension, really shooting out the crown of the head and out the fingertips, growing as long as you can, just inch by inch as you lower. And as we're lowering, that weight is going to shift into the toes. So you'll start to feel a little more stretch in the hamstrings and the glutes as you shift that weight forward as you lower. Eventually coming down either to the fingertips or the palms for Uttanasana forward fold. So let's just take that motion one more time all the way through. Now I'm going through all the details of these basic postures so that every time we go through them, you can really think about all these little cues and maximize the benefit. Because there's a big difference between just kind of moving through something without energy and without activation versus really strengthening and lifting and engaging every muscle so that you can tone your body and energize all the body cells throughout this whole sequence. So coming together, mountain pose, Tadasana, let's just flow through that little bit that we've learned so far. So standing nice and tall, shoulders rolled back, tummy sucked in. Let's exhale all our air out completely. And then breathing in and out through the nose. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, sucking the belly in, coming all the way down to the mat. Now, if your hands don't touch the mat, that's totally fine. You can always bring them to the shins or the ankles, or maybe even come to the fingertips. And over time, as the hamstrings and calves start to loosen up, you'll be able to bring the hands closer to the feet, and then eventually bending the elbows and getting the face tucked in towards the shins. So that's somewhere to work towards. All right, so we just hinged down into our forward fold, Uttanasana. You can also take a slight bend in the knees if you need to, and just let the neck and shoulders relax here. And then maybe over time we start to straighten those legs, really feeling that maximum benefit of the stretch all along the back of the legs and opening up the hamstrings. So this is a traditional forward fold, Uttanasana. Next pose, Ardha Uttanasana, or halfway lift. On your inhale, extend out through the low back as much as you can, coming onto the fingertips, or again, maybe placing those hands on the ankles or the shins. But we want to recreate that flat back that we did on our descension by inhaling and lifting up to the flat back, shifting the weight into the toes. So again, whether you're here or up here, we just want to feel that length and growing out of the low spine into the middle spine, and then finally out the cervical spine. And notice too, I have a tendency to overarch and crunch my neck. We want to keep the neck in alignment with the back. So creating that long, straight spine here as you come to the fingertips or the shins or the ankles. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Again, should really be feeling that stretch along the back of the legs. A big part of yoga is going to be opening up and loosening the hamstring and calf muscles so that you can get into deeper stretches and improve your flexibility. On your exhale, lower back down, forward fold. And then let's plant the hands in front of the face, fingertips spread wide. And we'll step one leg back and then the other for our next pose, plank. So coming into plank here, maybe you need to take a moment to adjust, figure out your footing and your hands. You want to try to get your shoulders in alignment with your wrists, so shoulders stacked on top of the wrists. And then think about one straight line from the crown of the head, coming all the way down the back, and then shooting out those heels. And see if you can really lock out those legs, engage the quadriceps, and come high onto the toes. This posture is a full body workout. If you just hold this for as long as you can, you will definitely start to burn and sweat and go through all sorts of mental and emotional distress. So this is a great opportunity to practice breathing through any discomfort, breathing through small amounts of pain or frustration or aggravation. So with every inhale, think about growing long through the spine and through the heels. And then with every exhale, just let go and come to the present moment. And I'm going to lower the knees for just a second as I talk about a little more alignment cues here in our plank pose. So we want to have the fingertips spread as wide as we can on the mat. And we're really pressing into the palms to eliminate any gaps. A lot of times people, grip the mat like this, and you want to make sure you're pressing firmly into the palms so that energy can shoot up the arms and down the body. And your hands want to be about shoulder width distance apart. So then pressing into those palms, we're going to rotate those arm muscles out slightly to the sides. So you should be able to see the crease of your elbows. And then we also want to think about bringing the shoulders back into their sockets. So notice if you start to hunch up a little bit into the neck or the shoulders, really staying long and extended in the neck and sending those shoulders back towards the heels. Another thing to think about here is our core. So sucking our belly in, squeezing the glute muscles together. Feeling like a plank board, one straight board. One more breath here. And then let's come to the knees, either spreading them wide or bringing them together to come into a moment of child's pose. Bringing the forehead down to the mat and just relaxing the breath. Come back to your center. Try to find a place of stillness. And when we breathe in yoga, we want to breathe in and out through the nose. Oftentimes, if we breathe out through the mouth, we can create a sense of panic or that we're out of control, like a panting breath that's going to stimulate a little more anxiety and not allow us to feel as centered and relaxed as we want to feel while we flow. So just think about that, in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you relax as you exhale and try to get all your air out on the exhale, you'll notice that you can decrease your heart rate and calm the nervous system faster. All right, so those are the standing postures that we're going to do for today. Let's flow through them while we inhale and exhale as we move. So come to stand at the top of your mat for our mountain pose, Tadasana. Toes together, heels slightly apart. Inhale, arms come up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, flat back. Energy shooting out those fingertips, out the crown of the head as you lower down. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, coming onto the fingertips or the ankles or shins, rising up to a flat back. Exhale, lower back down, forward fold, and step one foot back and then the other into plank pose. Take a few breaths here. Now, if plank is a little difficult, you could always drop to your knees and hold the posture as well. Or maybe experiment, maybe just one knee or the other. Nice deep breaths here, rounding those shoulders back, extending long through the crown of the head and out the heels. And then, as you're ready, let's step the legs back up, forward fold, and we'll reverse the process. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, shifting that weight forward, nice straight legs, sucking the belly in. Exhale, lower down, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up to stand, arms touch overhead. Exhale, arms down by your side, Tadasana. Let's flow through this one more time, and then we'll end in child's pose. And this sequence of postures actually is that first half of Surya Namaskar A, or Sun Salutations A. So this is an essential, really foundational sequence of yogic postures that will continue on in the next video and complete that whole Sun Salutation. All right, so flowing through one more time. And really see if you can move to the speed of your own breath. So only moving on to the next one once you've completely inhaled or exhaled from the previous one. All right, standing up nice and tall, Tadasana. Exhale all your air out. Inhale, shoot those arms out to the side and touching overhead. Exhale, forward fold, flat back here, sucking everything in as we engage and lower. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower down. Step it back, plank pose. Taking a few breaths here. Fingertips spread nice and wide, pressing into those palms. One more breath. Notice if the mind starts to wander. Bring it right back to the present moment on your mat right now. And then slowly lower those knees. On your exhale, push back, child's pose. So continue to take nice deep breaths here in child's pose and stay here while I talk you through a short visualization meditation. Start to think about what you want out of this 30-day challenge. Imagine the feeling states and emotions that you want to embody throughout these 30 days. Maybe it's joy, inspiration, lightness of being. Think about whatever's important to you and start to see yourself, visualize your face, your body, really embodying and feeling that emotion or feeling state. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Before anything can become a reality or become an action, it first is a thought. So thinking about how you want to feel and what you want your body to look like, what you want your thoughts and inner emotional body to look like is so essential to actually manifesting that and creating that in the real world. So now, when you're ready, slowly start to roll up one vertebrae at a time, tucking the chin, and coming up to a seated position, rolling those shoulders back. So start to notice how you feel right now in this present moment, and perhaps how you might feel different than when you started this video. I encourage you to keep a journal or some type of log of just how you're feeling on each day before you start the video and then after you start the video, so that over time, over these 30 days, you'll be able to track your progress, maybe notice any patterns that you engage in, and it'll really help you give you some insight into yourself and your growth and progress. So in that log or journal, you can also write down your goals for this 30-day challenge and maybe those feeling states or emotions that you just cultivated in that visualization. So yay, congratulations, you finished day 1, and I'm really excited for you to join me again for day 2. And now to finish out this practice, bring your hands together, heart center. Let me dig your thumbs slightly into the chest. The light and the love and the highest good that lives inside of me honors and recognizes that same light, the same love, and the highest good that lives inside of you. Namaste.
With hundreds of videos that you can stream on virtually any device to help you reduce stress, lose weight, or just improve your health and well-being overall. At wellnessplus.tv, we are dedicated to helping you on your health and wellness journey. Join wellnessplus.tv to find hundreds of videos to help you improve the health of your body and your mind. Wellnessplus.tv. Get well feel better.